What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at some of the most insane reactions from criminals. From stone-cold silence to full-on courtroom meltdowns, the moment a judge tells them they're going to die. These are the wildest reactions to death sentences ever caught on camera. Alright, so first up we've got Shelby Neely. Now this is a recent case out of Florida that is absolutely bone-chilling. Shelby Neely, 32, pleaded guilty to first-degree murder charges in the deaths of Richard Ivancic, 71, Laura Ivancic, 59, and Nicholas Ivancic, 25, whose bodies were discovered along with their 3 dogs in their Tarpon Springs home. Wait, he killed their dogs too? What is wrong with this guy? Oh, it gets worse. According to reports, Neely killed his wife, Jamie Ivancic, in early 2018. He strangled and beat her before burying her remains. And for almost a year, he pretended to her family that she was still alive. He was just walking around acting normal for a year. That's psychopath behavior. Exactly. When her family started suspecting foul play, he traveled to Tarpon Springs to stop Richard, Laura, and Nicholas from exposing what he had done to Jamie. During his stay at the house, Neely used a hammer as his weapon, and he attacked Richard Ivancic, Laura Ivancic, and Nicholas Ivancic separately over a 48-hour period. A hammer over 2 days. That is absolutely horrifying. Like, that's not something that happens in a moment of rage. That's calculated. And what was his reaction when the judge sentenced him to death? Watch this. On Friday, the judge formally sentenced Neely to death for each of the 3 murders. Neely had no reaction as the judge handed down the sentence. Nothing? He didn't even blink? That's somehow scarier than if he had screamed. He just doesn't care. When given the opportunity to speak at the sentencing hearing, Neely offered no words and showed no visible reaction to the outcome. Just absolutely stone cold. A Pinellas County judge sentenced Shelby Neely to death. The jury had recommended it in an 11-to-1 vote. 11-to-1? So only one person said no? That's how bad this was. Okay, this next one is one that a lot of you might know about. This is the Parkland case. On February 14th, 2018, Nicholas Cruz returned to the high school in Parkland, Florida, where he had been a student. Armed with an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle, he stalked through hallways of a school building for about 6 minutes, killing 14 students and 3 staff members. Valentine's Day. He did this on Valentine's Day. I can't even imagine being in that school. Cruz, 24, stared back at the victims' families, dressed in a bright red jail jumpsuit, showing no emotion behind a COVID-19 face mask. No emotion, like at all. These are families of people he killed. Now, his jury actually did not give him the death penalty. Most of the families decried that the jury voted 9-3 for death, but did not reach the unanimity required under state law for that sentence to be imposed. The gunman was formally sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Broward Circuit Judge Elizabeth Scherer imposed the statutorily mandated sentence, ordering Cruz to serve a life sentence with no possibility of parole for each of the 17 counts of murder. Wait, so the jury wanted the death penalty, but 3 people said no, so he gets to live? That doesn't seem right. That was the reaction from a lot of people. One father, Max Schachter, told CNN, "I miss my little boy." It's not right that the worst high school shooter in U.S. history basically gets what he wants. Oh my God, that's heartbreaking. And the families? They were furious. The court heard wrenching victim impact statements from 17 people, including shooting survivors and relatives of the deceased, who expressed disappointment with the verdict, unbridled rage toward the defendant, and grief for the loss of their loved ones. Some addressed Cruz directly, calling him a monster, Parkland murderer, and murdering bastard. Good. He should hear every single word of that. But here's the craziest part about the sentencing. After sentencing Cruz to life without parole, Judge Scherer left the bench and hugged members of the prosecution and the victims' families. She was actually later reprimanded for that. Wait, the judge got in trouble for showing compassion. That's wild. The Florida Supreme Court publicly reprimanded Judge Scherer for showing bias toward the prosecution. The unanimous decision followed a recommendation from the Judicial Qualifications Commission, which found that she violated several rules governing judicial conduct during the trial. In her actions toward Cruz's public defenders. I mean, I kind of understand both sides. You shouldn't be biased as a judge, but I get why she felt emotional. Those were kids that died. Alright, so now we've got the complete opposite kind of reaction. This one just happened. A South Florida inmate stunned many as he laughed and defiantly retorted to a judge while being handed a life sentence, without parole in a Miami-Dade courtroom. Marcus Terry, aged 43, was sentenced by Judge Ellen Sue Venzer of the Miami-Dade Circuit Court for the murder of his cellmate, Ray Matos, who was 68. Wait, he lacked? Oh yeah, Terry was found guilty of second-degree murder. After a trial revealed, he suffocated Matos with a pillowcase and drove a pen into his brain. A pen? Into his brain? What? That is like straight out of a horror movie. How do you even… And while the judge was reading the details of the crime in open court, listen to this. As Venzer narrated these events, Terry began to chuckle audibly in the courtroom. The judge immediately addressed his behavior. "I'm not sure what's so funny. He's locking while they describe what he did. This dude is crazy. It gets even worse." She delivered a firm sentence. "I see no reason not to sentence you to life without the possibility of parole," she added. "May God have mercy on your soul." And Terry smirked and replied, "That's what you need. That's what you need." He said that to the judge. That is genuinely terrifying. There's nothing going on behind those eyes, like nothing human. And here's the thing. At the time of the crime, Terry was already serving 2 life sentences for armed robbery and burglary. So this man was already in prison for life and decided to murder his cellmate anyway. So he literally has nothing to lose. That's what makes this so scary. What do you even do with someone like that? Okay, now this next reaction is one of the most dramatic courtroom outbursts you'll ever see. This is from the case of Marquis Floyd Lloyd. After the jury verdict was read, the judge announced, "We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant Marquis Floyd should be sentenced to death." Lloyd seems to mouth something out to the public. A few moments later, Lloyd has an outburst. What did he do? He screamed at the courtroom. They had to physically remove him. The judge ordered bailiffs to take him out. See, that's the reaction I'd expect. Not laughing, not sitting there like a robot. That's pure panic, because it just hit him that it's real. Yeah, it's like you spend all this time acting tough, thinking you're untouchable, and then the judge says death, and suddenly reality hits you like a truck. Exactly. And that's the thing about these reactions. You can see the exact moment it all sinks in. Some people scream, some people cry, and some people just sit there. And honestly, the ones who sit there with no emotion might be the scariest ones of all. Now, before we wrap this up, there's actually a bigger conversation happening around the death penalty right now. After several years of no more than 25 executions, there were 47 executions in 2025, nearly double the years prior. The US carried out those 47 executions despite falling public support, fewer death sentences, and growing evidence of racial bias and wrongful convictions. So they're doing more executions even though fewer people actually support it. That's what the data shows. 30 years ago, juries returned new death sentences in over 300 cases. In 2025, they did so in only 23 cases. That's a huge drop. So juries just aren't voting for it as much anymore. And Florida is at the center of this debate. The Florida Supreme Court's decision came at the end of a year, in which Florida was a national outlier, executing 19 people in 2025, nearly 4 times the number of any other state. Florida is one of only 2 states to allow divided juries to sentence people to death. As Justice Labarga acknowledged, the 8-4 threshold renders Florida the absolute outlier among states that impose the death penalty. So you don't even need all the jurors to agree. That seems kinda messed up. Yeah, like if you're literally deciding if someone lives or dies, shouldn't everyone have to agree? And that's exactly what a lot of legal experts are asking. Since 1973, at least 200 people wrongly convicted and sentenced to death have been exonerated. So the stakes couldn't be higher. 200 innocent people almost got executed. That's insane. So what do you guys think? Which reaction was the craziest to you? The one who laughed at the judge? Marcus Terry? That's genuinely disturbing. For me, it was Shelby Neely, just sitting there, no expression, no words. 4 people are dead because of you, and you have nothing to say? Honestly, all of them are crazy in their own way. The ones who freak out, the ones who laugh, the ones who go silent, it all says something different about who they are. Well said. These moments, they show you who these people really are. When it all comes crashing down, and for the families of the victims, it's the one moment where justice is finally spoken out loud. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe, hit the bell, and drop a comment letting us know which reaction shocked you the most. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.